Welcome to this week's Rockies 2-Minute Warning. We are at the halfway point of the NFL season. 8 games done, and wow, the playoff picture is starting to shape up.
Are you ready to make some calls on some divisional winners and playoff hopes?
Well, I think we can do that safely, especially when we look at San Francisco. Actually, if they win this weekend and Arizona and Seattle lose, San Francisco will clinch their division after just 9 games.
Wow.
And who would have picked San Francisco at the beginning of the season? Let's go to our picks, though, for the week. Who do you got as your sure things?
I'm glad we didn't do this last week, so I think I would have had these all wrong. It was a tough week last week to pick. This week, I'm going to take Philly at home against Arizona. Arizona's terrible. Philly's coming off a loss to Chicago. Mini Green Bay. Green Bay's a layup. Baltimore and Seattle. Seattle doesn't really beat anybody. Baltimore just coming off a great win in Pittsburgh. And in my upset, you're going to love this, I'm going to take Indianapolis at home against the Jets.
Well, isn't that interesting? I do love that one. Of course, I never see a divisional matchup, be it Green Bay and Minnesota or anybody else, as being a layup, but I think Green Bay will probably stay undefeated, so I'll go there. I'm taking Cleveland, who I despise, to beat St. Louis. St. Louis can put a good game together, but generally speaking they don't, and Cleveland is at home. Kansas City, because Tim Tebow for Denver cannot put 2 games together back-to-back, as much as you love him, and I understand that. And I'll take San Francisco over the New York Giants. And breaking the tradition here, for my upset, I'm going to go with you as well. I think Indianapolis will get into the win column.
Well, that makes me nervous that you picked the same one. Last time you picked Indianapolis, you were wrong by about 55 points, I think.
Anybody who's picked Indianapolis this year has been wrong, and it was exactly 55 points. Okay, so in the playoffs, Patriots or Jets? Who's going to win that?
Well, they play this weekend. Pats coming off a couple of losses. It looks like people have the Pats number now, or have Brady's number. Their defense looked terrible on the weekend. Their corners are pathetic. Their safeties are bad. I think they lose to the Jets. Jets are on a roll. They made the Bills look pretty bad this weekend. So I think the Jets win that game, end up winning that division. I think Baltimore wins the North. There's 3 teams tied at the top of the North right now, but Baltimore has victories over Pittsburgh. Cincinnati, I believe, is playing Baltimore this weekend, so that's a huge game.
Cincinnati, now there is the stealth team of the season. They're 6-2. Nobody's been watching them, and they just keep winning.
No, I don't know.
Without Ochocinco, who could have thought it would happen?
Rookie quarterback. I don't think they get there. So I'm going to take Houston, obviously in the South, easy. San Diego comes out of the West. The wild cards will be Pittsburgh and New England.
Obviously, the Giants are looking somewhat good, even with Coughlin as coach and Eli as their quarterback. 6-2. Are they going to take the NFC East, or does Dallas have a chance?
I think they take it, just because everyone else is falling all over themselves not to take it. So it's a battle of attrition in the North.
I'm afraid I have to agree with you. I think Dallas is going to make the playoffs. Sorry, boys, we will miss you greatly. And NFC South. Yeah, New Orleans or Atlanta?
Once again, huge matchup. New Orleans is in Atlanta this weekend. Atlanta's actually finally starting to come on and play some good ball. New Orleans hasn't been playing on the road this year at all. So I think Atlanta wins that, makes them tied to the South, and I think Atlanta comes out of the South as the victor.
And if Atlanta wins that, Atlanta will end up in the playoffs, and we will have to wait for another year for New Orleans and Drew Brees.
Back to my Detroit call. You thought about that, Bill? Does Detroit make the playoffs?
You know what? My heart is still with Detroit, but man, they have a tough schedule.
They do. Yeah, in Chicago this weekend, and then have to play Green Bay twice, go to New Orleans. I don't see them getting in. I think New Orleans is definitely going to be one of the wild cards, and Chicago, if they can keep their things going as they have, they might be the other one.
Well, being a guy, the only romance we have is for sports, and, you know, romantically speaking, I'm still going to cheer for Detroit. Hope they make it, but I'm afraid you might be right. Okay, so this weekend we got 2 Sea Dogs games. Make sure you get out and support your local bars and restaurants. And a little shout out to our good friend Greg Bellier. He and his lovely bride Joanna are having their first child today. Welcome to parenthood. Bye for now.